JS Productions.
पैर पानी च लगे ही नहीं बिच बंदे
Purchase your tracks today.
JS Productions.
सारी संगत 24 का पाठ करना, सारी संगत प्यार ਨਾਲ ਸੁਣ ਲਓ। ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਸ ਮਾਈ ਦੀ ਯਾਦ ਦੇ ਜਿਸਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਰਸੀਵ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਇੱਥੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਯਾਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2 ਮਿੰਟ ਜੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੋਟੋ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਫੇਵਰਿਟ
ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਦਿਸ਼ਾ ਤੋਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਤੁਰ ਕੇ। ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੰਗਲ ਵਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੋਹਰੇ ਉਹ ਆ ਗਏ
ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਰਾਤ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀ,
ਰਾਤ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਪੂਰਾ 2-3 ਵਜੇ 2:30 ਵਜੇ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ 3 ਵਜੇ ਦਾ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਿਠਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਉਹ ਜੰਗਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਠਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਸਾਈਡ। ਉਹ ਰਾਹ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਉੱਥੇ,
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ।
ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਹਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੇੜਿਆ।
ਅੱਛਾ
ਉਸ ਰਾਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੈਠ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਕੁਛ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ 5-6 ਉਹ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੱਭਣੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਤੁਰ ਪਏ ਪਰੇ ਨੂੰ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ।
ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਕਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਕਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉਹ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਮੋਹਰਿਓਂ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਧਰ ਨੂੰ ਚੱਲੇ ਆ? ਜਿਹੜੇ 5 ਬੰਦੇ ਸੀ
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਵਾ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਵਾ, ਟੈਕਸੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ।
ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਇੱਥੋਂ 1700-1800 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਆ, 2000 ਵੀ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਛੱਡ ਦੇਵਾਂ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉਹ ਫੇਰ ਤੁਰ ਪਏਗਾ। ਉਹ ਥੋੜੀ ਗਾਂਹ ਤੁਰੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਤੇ ਜਦ ਨੂੰ ਆਰਸੀ ਐਮਪੀ ਆ ਗਏ,
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ।
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਖਬਰ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਆ ਗਏ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੋਹਰੇ ਆਏ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਆਰਸੀਪੀ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਹੀ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ 5 ਜਣੇ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਵੇਅਰ ਦਾ ਅਦਰ ਵਨ,
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਨਾਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ,
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ।
ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਰੋਡ ਤੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਜੀ ਜਗਾਰੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ।
ਵਾਹ ਜੀ।
ਫੇਰ ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਖੜੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਲੋਨ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਮਾਰਨੇ ਆ।
ਇਹ ਘਰ ਮਲੋਨ ਦਾ, ਇਹ ਘਰ ਮਲੋਨ ਦਾ,
ਇਹ ਘਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੜ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ, ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਘਰ ਬਰਦਰ ਦਾ।
ਅੱਛਾ ਉਹ ਘਰ ਸੀ।
ਹਾਂ ਜੀ, ਉਹ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਾਲ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਘਰ।
ਅੱਛਾ।
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਘਰ ਲਿਆਓ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ,
ਵਾਹ
ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਿਠਾਉਣਾ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ।
ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲਾਗੇ ਸੈਕਟਰ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਪਦੇ ਆ, 10-12 ਘਰ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਭੁੱਖੇ ਆ, ਪਾਣੀ ਲਿਆਓ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ।
ਹਾਂ
ਸੈਚਰਡੇ ਸੰਡੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟੋਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਬੰਦ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ।
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਰਿੱਜਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਸਮਾਨ ਪਿਆ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੂਹਰੇ ਢੇਰੀ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਹੈਗਾ ਖਾਓ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ।
3 ਘੰਟੇ ਅਸੀਂ 2.5 ਘੰਟੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਖਣੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰਾਂ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਉਹ ਕਰਨ ਆਰਤੀ ਮੈਂ ਪੜੇ
ਅੱਛਾ
ਵੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਘੱਟ ਨਾ ਨੱਠ ਨਾ ਜਾਣ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ। ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਮੰਗਾਈਆਂ, ਉਹ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਏ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ।
ਉੱਥੋਂ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਆਈਆਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2-3 ਗੇੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਏ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਗਏ।
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉੱਥੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚਾਹ ਪਾਣੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੈਲੀਫੈਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਰਵਾਨਾ
ਉੱਥੇ
ਹੋਏ।
ਕਿੰਨੇ ਵਜੇ ਲੈ ਗਿਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਸੈਂਟਰ?
ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਗਏ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਕੋਈ 11 ਕੁ ਵਜੇ 12 ਵਜੇ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਲੈ ਗਏ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ 2-3 ਘੰਟੇ ਬੈਠੇ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਬਿਠਾ ਲਿਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਸਾਰਾ ਅਰੇਂਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਦਾ,
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ।
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਛੋਟਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਟਾਊਨ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਧਨ। ਤੇ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਬਿਠਾ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਗਏ। 3-4 ਗੇੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸਾਈਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਖਾਲੀ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਸਟੋਰ ਤਾਂ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਜੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ। ਇਹ ਸੀ।
ਆਪਾਂ ਜਾਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਸਬੰਡ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ 174 ਫੈਮਲੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਰ ਲੈਣਗੀਆਂ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਕਿ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰੋਟੀ
ਅੱਛਾ ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸੱਜੇ ਹੱਥ ਪਾਲੇ ਬੰਨੇ ਆਉਣੀਆਂ, ਉੱਥੇ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਪਾਰਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਵਾਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੁਰ ਕੇ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ।
ਉੱਥੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਜਾਓ। ਓਕੇ ਜੀ, ਚਲੋ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
This brings back a lot of memories from back. 35 plus years ago. On this date, we woke up one morning, it was a foggy morning, and right here in the street, plus people, and we invited them into onto the property, and this is where we got some water and some food from all the local people in the village, and everybody done what they could to support us and feeding everybody, and the men all stayed here for from 4:30 in the morning until around 9 in the morning. And then after that, it was passed on further down towards Harbour Fire Hall. So when I woke up in the morning, bedroom window was there. The street had 185 people standing in it. So it was quite a shock to us and the community. I was glad it all turned out well. Everybody got off back himself living in Canada.
First of all, thank you very much for all the help you have done. You guys done that. We really appreciate all the support you guys at that time.
Yes.
When we really need a support, you guys done your support, and we are really appreciative for you, for your family, and we will have a very special recognition today evening when we will get together
At the hall, yes.
At the hall. And definitely we would like to appreciate all of you, and also we will planning when we will be here, a couple of things we would like to share, which is going to help this community. So
Okay.
from us, and we'll have a discussion on that.
ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ। ਅਸੀਂ 174 ਪੀਪਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ 1987 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ। ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਬਗੈਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਪੋਰਟ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਇੰਨਾ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ 3 ਪੱਥਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਲੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਟੋ ਲੱਗ ਗਈ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ 174 ਬੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਬੜੇ ਸੇਫ ਔਰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਿਪ 'ਚੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਸੱਟ ਲੱਗੀ 1-2 ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ, ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੇਫ ਸਨ। ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਦਿੱਕਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਈ ਹੈਗੀ। ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਉਸ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕੀਤੀ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਬੜੇ ਸੇਫ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਰੇ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਉਤਰ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ। ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਗਲੀ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਜੋ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਅੱਗੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਦੱਸਾਂਗੇ। ਅਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਸੀਗਾ ਕੋਈ ਪੋਰਟ 'ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਲੱਗਿਆ, ਪਰ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਈ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਸੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੀ। ਉਸ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਉਹ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਪੱਥਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Are we missing anybody? Am I missing anybody's name?
Mechanic.
Where is Mr. Manjeet Singh Garcha? Can you find her? Anybody can find her? Is he going to fetch another ship? Or can we have a plaque for Narendra Pal Singh? Sarjeet can bring it. Sarjeet, give a plaque. Narendra Pal Singh. हो गया तो ठीक है इन्होंने वो बारे इज्जत ही आ जाओ इधर जी सारे मिल के चिकन कर लो सारे धन्यवाद बहुत बहुत All right, next is very important. What is the Harvard Community Center where we are sitting here, and we need local people who can come here, then they can receive that plaque from us. Please.
I think member of the council is here. Council.
Yeah, member of council can come here, then you can receive that. Okay.
And member of
Yeah, both of you can come. That can be really appreciation for that. And also, can you bring the check to present them?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Our Vice President.
Check. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. The next one is very important because they help us a lot. This local fire department, and I would like to bring up Modi and Jody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Would you guys like to say?
Yeah, please.
Please.
Come.
Whoever would you like to speak?
No, it was the morning you fellows come was quite a morning for us in our community, Charlesville and Charter. And as I say, I guess we made history in Canada here. And we're proud to be part of it. We're proud that you fellows are doing what you're doing for our community. And we hope you all keep coming.
And the next one is also very, very important. They are the one who actually supporting every time when we come here. First day when we come, they support us so much. Actually, their father was supporting us at that time, their mother was supporting us at that time, and now their second generation, their family is supporting us. I would like to invite all Malone family here, Mr. Tim and Mr. Kirby and Jell. All you guys can come here and we would like to see you.
This has been a very educational evening for me. There's a couple things that I'm not going to try to pronounce anybody's name because I know I'll get it wrong. But the guy that spoke from the Parliament, the guy that was having breakfast that morning with Brian Maroney, that was a very interesting story. I didn't realize how big of a deal this was. I was only a kid at the time. I was 27, and I had no idea how big this was. And then when the guy here, the lawyer here that took the case over, just amazed at what you done, and so glad that you took it upon your life to look after people like this. Just amazing. One of the things I find the greatest here today, I got to meet all the young people here, all the children of the guys that were on the boat, and just so proud to be such a small part of what happened here, and just glad to be. Oh, and I really want to say that today, my brother Kirby here, and my daughter Jill are taking recognition for this. But the people that really was a big part of this was my dad, my aunts, my uncles, and they was the one that led the way for us and got us here. And then once the people were brought here to Woods Harbor, there's a lot of people that have passed on that was a big help at that time also. And just proud to be part of this whole community. Thank you.
This really makes me feel old, Zach. Because Shannon was staying at the inn that night. My son Shannon, and he's your age, and I was 28 years old. When the boys here say how hard they had it on the ship, you have no idea how bad it would have been. And they really have done a wonderful job bringing up families to young people. Don't ever forget it. They really sacrificed a lot for you folks. And my dad was looking down tonight, Vern. my Tim's dad, he would be proud of all of you. Thanks very much.
I'm Jill, and as a child at 5 years old, I remember waking up very early one foggy morning and peeking out the windows and seeing 176 people I did not recognize on our front lawn. And it's very nice to meet some of the guys that came across, and it's nice to see other children and grandchildren here. And my grandfather would definitely be very proud.
Actually, country is who took us, some of you, in the what is called, in your yard. And Goose cannot walk because very difficult walk when we came here at the place where we were. And he took his job to bring in the butter to show that place. You know, this kind of place.
Well, I wasn't expecting to be a guest speaker today. You know, 37 years ago on July the 12th, my husband and I were entertaining our daughters and a friend for a weekend, and got a phone call at 7 o'clock in the morning. And when we arrived here in Charlesville, in Woods Harbor, we were part of a piece of Canadian history. I said earlier this afternoon that the reception that the 174 migrants received here on the shores of Pubnico Harbor sent a message across the country, and it took a little while for that message to reverberate. But I think that the message that they sent that day is the reality that we're now living in Canada. We have a pluralistic, multicultural country that is open to immigrants from all faiths, all nationalities, and we make space for everyone. And so I'm just so privileged to be here today, not only as a former reporter, but as a representative of Yarmouth Town Council, to say welcome back to our shores, and we hope to see you again.
ਸਿੱਖੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੂੰ ਬਲੀਵ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਉਹ ਤਰ ਜੂਗਾ। ਆ ਸਮੁੰਦਰ 'ਚ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਕ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ, ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਦੱਸੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ, 7 ਸਮੁੰਦਰੋਂ ਪਾਰ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਵ ਸਕੋਸ਼ੀਆ ਦੇ ਉਸ ਅਟਲਾਂਟਿਕ ਓਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਆਏ हैं, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਓਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਅੰਤ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਤੇ परमात्मा ने आप ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਨ ਆਏ हैं ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਮੂਲੀਅਤ ਕਰਨ ਆਏ हैं। ਇੰਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਬਾਰਕਾਂ। ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਸਕੇ, ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ 40ਵਾਂ ਮਨਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਦਾਦ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ, ਕੰਟਰੀਬਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਨਤਾ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ।
And that evening, that night, 174 refugees came ashore. The next morning we woke up, tried to gather them and help, assisted with water, juice, things to drink, tried to round up sandwich sandwiches, breads, to help feed, and we wasn't really sure what we needed to do, but it was that we could do, the best we could provide.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Just giving you the heads up what is going to do and how is going to happen during this program. It will be maybe hour and a half discussion. And the purpose of this program, we are here to thank you, this community, to appreciate this community. So our purpose is 37 years ago, this community helped us. We are 174 people who arrived in ship, and when we came here, they greet us very respectfully. They give us whatever they have. They help us a lot. So I would like to, from my heart, to thank you, all these people.
Someone actually wore a jersey of some organizations, you know, that their bond will go up actually to $7,500 or $10,000. Or some of it lower risk as they assessed actually through the process $2,500. So from $2,500 to the highest time grant actually is what we've ended up posting for each one of them. Imagine the community coming together to do it. But before it all happened, I still remember the name is etched in my mind actually, Rosalie Stoddard. It's the young lady who really eventually was part of the group. In fact, your whole community was actually part of the group, welcoming these strangers into your little town here. That is what Sikhi is all about. You know, we have a three-pronged life. Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikh religion, gave us a three-pronged life. And that life is actually working hard, meditating on God's names, as Waheguru we call, and sharing your earnings with all those needy folks out there. My friends, your community was in all respect adhering to all those three principles. You opened up your homes for them. These strangers who didn't look like you, didn't speak your language, but you still brought them to your homes to help them and feed them. You heard Mr. Dole speaking that they were hungry for 4 days, that food had run out for 4 days. And they hadn't eaten actually for that length of time. And suddenly finding a sandwich actually, you know, could be a lifesaver for them at that time. Or a glass of juice, or a cup of coffee. I mean, that's how you did it. So I bring you the greetings and certainly the gratitude from the whole Sikh community around the world to thank you all for doing that. It did not end there. We are lawyers from Vancouver, from Toronto, Mendel Green, top-notch immigration lawyer who was here helping us. We sent a lawyer from Vancouver, Mark Helford, and then we also knew that we needed help actually from the local experts. We got a friend of the Sikh community here today with Lee Cohen. Please, if you can stand, please. It's such a pleasure to work with you. Such a pleasure to work with you, I tell you. Can you imagine that I met him? I had never personally met him. As we spoke a few minutes ago, he right away recognized, he said, "You must be the one from Williams Lake." Yes, I'm the one from Williams Lake. Lee and his partners there in the law firm, actually, we dealt with you. You did a tremendous job actually processing their cases, each one of them individually representing them, getting them actually out of the confinement they were in. Then ultimately we took them to the two main locations, one in Toronto and the other one in Vancouver. Half of them were taken to Toronto, the other half actually to Vancouver. It brings me to the level, you know, that I ended up, by the way, you know, actually one day I was talking to your reporters, you know, she covered it. Thank you, ma'am, actually, for covering them actually and providing all the news media coverage actually at that time. And I have a diary actually of it daily, every moment, every minute, what media, what town, what people were doing. Every second. It took us a little over 30 days. So in that 30 days by the time, and our total cost, just for the not to in any way to repeat it actually, the community spent in excess of $2 million to basically get these folks out actually and get them into different places. The bonds itself actually amounted to in excess of $750,000. We were offering actually cash bonds actually initially to start with for $600,000. Government wouldn't accept it. So individually we ended up posting a little bit more than that, and that's fine. But the question was actually, we knew these people were escaping a horrible situation from India that Canadians didn't know at all. There was an attack on the Golden Temple, as we call Darbar Sahib, by the government of India's armed forces at that time. Youth at any age were picked up from villages and towns and cities, and they were being killed in false encounters. This is the situation these folks escaped from. And we knew the situation they were going through. That's why our heart went through helping them in any way we could actually. And today, they are the biggest contributors to our economy. I'm a businessman by profession. I understand if I employ one person, the multiplying factor is 2.3. I use it normally. I think in the business of the government, you sometimes maybe 2.7. If I create one job, there are 2.6 or 2.7 people actually dependent upon that. There will be a teacher, there will be a doctor, there will be somebody else, there is a grocery store clerk actually working and all that. Out of the 174, I don't know how many disappeared, to be very honest. Some have passed away since that time. Some actually have left the country, and but in excess of 150, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, are still here. And all 151 of them, and majority of them are employed. Some of them employing hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. Imagine the multiplying factor with the economic actually input into our economy, and they have not only paying back for the sandwiches and the juice and the coffee you offer them, you're paying back to the country actually leaps and bounds actually over and over again. Thank you very much actually for contributing to this country. Thank you very much for all of you actually, and we certainly, our heart goes to you actually for the sufferings that you went through at that time. I mean, that's what this community is all about. That's what Sikhi is all about. That's what Canadian way is all about. You know, I've lived majority of my life actually in Canada. My family's history goes back 120 years here. My white grandfather came in 1904 to this country. So we've been part of this country as much as anyone else can claim to be part of this country. So we've seen it actually all through. We've seen it all the suffering. We've seen actually what we went through. Also see the goodness of your heart, my friends, actually what you did for them. May God bless you all. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to request our Parliament Speaker, Mr. Randeep Sarai.
Halifax, 37 years ago, a group of Sikhs embarked on a journey, as you just heard, a journey of hope, uncertainty, fleeing violence in their homeland to seek refuge off the shores of Canada. Mr. Dooley probably didn't emphasize the fear of what they left behind. I think Mr. Sandhu explained it a little better. The situation that they fled from was probably for Sikhs around the world was the biggest that they had ever felt. The Golden Temple had been attacked. Thousands of young men, mostly young men, were picked up in extrajudicial killings, shot and killed. In the streets of Delhi, women were raped, men were put with tires on them and burnt alive. It's a very horrific situation that they fled from. They had made their way to Europe, but what he was trying to say is in Europe they didn't have pathways or avenues to be granted refugee status. So they didn't at the time feel any, there might have been, but they weren't aware of those pathways. So their only option was that they thought there might be hope in the shores of Canada. So they met with someone who agreed to take them. They went on this trawler, this cargo ship, as you can see, with very deplorable conditions. And with a lot of perseverance, they went through with it. Yesterday we heard that even along the way, the engine actually shut down on this ship. The engine stopped in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And there was fortunately a small diesel mechanic on one of the refugees on this ship who they called up and said, "Can you look at the engine?" And Punjabis are known as jagadis, which mean they can really contract and make anything out of anything. So he somehow figured it out and started this ship again, and eventually they were 4 days behind, but they made it to the shores of Canada in 19 days, and that's why they said they had no food for the last 4 days, because their rations that they had taken with them were for only 14 days. In an interview, just to give you context of what they were fleeing, famous BBC correspondent in India, Mark Tully, said, "Police were indiscriminately arresting and harassing young men in India, with each of them living in perpetual fear for their lives." So I emphasize that just so you understand what they're fleeing, because a lot of people, and I read this in articles, when they came off the shore, they said, "Hey, they're pretty well dressed. They're not your typical refugee." Well, it wasn't financial stress that they were leaving. They were leaving the fear of being persecuted and being picked up. As they landed, they were greeted not with hostility, but with curiosity and compassion from the local community of Charlesville, Nova Scotia. It is a story of cups of water, Kool-Aid, peanut butter sandwich, and first aid treatment provided to them on a front lawn by the locals, such as Mr. Malone and Mrs. Stoller, despite being warned by the RCMP to not engage with these people. I recall the world, yes, would you please give them a applause. For those that don't know, I was only in grade 7 and finished grade 7, was about to enter grade 8. I was watching the news like many other people that are here, and I was intrigued with the curiosity of how this ship came. The stories were crazy. They were like, "Oh my God, Canada's security has been invaded. Who are these people? Are they terrorists? Are they a security risk? What if other countries invade?" And as Mr. Sandhu said, the Parliament was actually reconvened in order to address this so-called threat or these people. But I recall the words of Avtar Singh, one of the refugees on board, who referred to the people of Charlesville and said they are like family. It is the relationships that have been forged over the last 35 years that have been a testament of humanity transcending boundaries. While there was racist and discriminatory bias shadowed parliamentary debates, the humanitarianism demonstrated by the people of Charlesville prevailed that. When Minister Bouchard and the Conservative government were conflicted whether the refugees would integrate within Canadian society by stating that they had two opposing images in their mind. First, a man holding a sign, "Go back home, trash," and a second woman feeding the refugees. The people of Nova Scotia embraced them with open arms. When the Navy was mobilized by the government and they were labeled as international drug smugglers and criminals, you gave them food and shelter in your homes. When politicians from all levels across the country and radio hosts openly called for the deportation of these refugees and to end all relief services for them, you gave these refugees hope for a better future in Canada by your endless warmth and empathy. In times of hardship like one in July 1987, the people of Nova Scotia have always stepped up and showed all Canadians across the country what true Canadian values are like. Today, as we reflect on the legacy of the 174 refugees who arrived in Charlesville and carved out a place for themselves in Canadian society, we remember all the efforts by the people of Charlesville to help those in need and your acceptance of the refugees in Canada. Today, the refugees of 1987, as just stated earlier, are employed and own critical industries across Canada, such as construction companies, trucking companies, transportation services, and hotels, and many, many other businesses. Their children and grandchildren went on to become doctors, lawyers, teachers, nurses, and made major contributions to Canadian society. A key interaction that I've recently reflected on is when a little girl of one of the refugees went up to Mrs. Stoddard, a local, and gave her a bracelet saying that if it wasn't for you, my dad said we wouldn't be here today. This showcases the profound impacts of kindness that have been delivered beyond generations. As Devinder Singh Dule, Surinder Singh, both aboard the boat that night have said, they helped us become who we are today. So that's why we always come back to show our appreciation for this community. We will always be connected to the people and the place of Charlesville. Thank you.
Thank you. I won't be long. All I want to say, thank you, Charlesville. Thank you, Nova Scotia. And thank you so much, Canada. You gave an opportunity to those 174 when they landed on a strange land. They were not even sure that what country they are landed at. But I want to repeat everything what has been said by Mrs. Sandhu and Sai. All I want to say is that we are not new to this country. Canadian Confederation was formed in 1867, and our elders and forefathers, they came 30 years later, 1897, on the shores of British Columbia. Then we moved on to Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Quebec. And you embraced us back in 1987. What I was hearing yesterday in the Gurdwara, there's almost 35 to 40,000 Sikhs in Nova Scotia. So we are going to explore this land and we're going to develop this land. And as you helped us earlier, your families, and we need your support, and we want to be part of your community. Thank you.
All right, next speaker I would like to bring up here, Pavneet Singh.
We appreciate, respect, and honor your time. Since last year when I connected with Mr. Devinder and Mr. Nirmal Singh, they mentioned they would like to organize an event for the local community and would like to give a monumental park in return as a gratitude. So we were connected since then, and the journey started. I heard numerous stories how the 174 Sikhs decided to get together, coming from different parts of the world, with different mental capacity, with different journeys in life, decided to go to Canada to see the better future. And the journey started, and there was no hope what's going to happen. And what happened after that, they got the huge warm welcome from the community of Charlesville, which made me feel proud to see like how Nova Scotians treat to the fellow Canadians, and also not just the Canadians, but also to the strangers. As a Sikh, we come from the monotheist religion. We believe in one God and everybody is brother and sister. And whenever we recite the hymns of the Lord in the ambrosial hours in the morning, we always ask for the better health for all humankind. And when we got to know about the story that our fellow brothers got a huge help from the local community, it made me feel proud to be a part of Nova Scotia and being a Canadian, proud Canadian, that yes, this is what our roots are, this is what our culture, this is what we have learned, and this is how we stand united together. Kudos to the local community, big round of applause for them. I appreciate for all the little and big help what they got since then, 37 years back, and heard a lot of gratitude in their eyes when I started talking to them and listening their journey. And they all were here just to bring their families and show them that that's where the journey started, and now they are flourishing in Canada and living the dream of their life. So when 2 days back, when they came here, they had the ceremony of Khandpad Sahib. I took them to the place Tadakona where they were placed when they came from Charlesville to Halifax. And literally, I was so surprised to see them that they were all so emotional that, they still remember the place, the journey they were calling. We were used to sit there, the media used to come from this side. So you can imagine, since after 37 years, the emotion, the value of that help they got from the community, from the Minority Commission, from the local government, from the organizations, WSO, and the Brotherhood community. So I think this is a big message we should learn from each other, that we should stand together, and I feel blessed to be part of the journey, and I will do whatever the best I can do so that they also feel that they're not alone going forward for this celebration. Coming years, they have big plans to celebrate for 40-year celebration, and we are also looking forward to host you guys with all your families, with kids and grandkids, with a big pomp and show, so that we can send the message that the Sikhs, when they get help, they always pay back and they always stand for the humankind. Thank you so much, guys. The moment of history is going to happen in Halifax and Charlesville. He showed so much of excitement. Pavneet, I would love to be part of this event, and he always stands for the community, being a liberal leader of opposition. And he just said, tell me what time is to be there. I will drive from Halifax to join to this event along with my family. He's here with us. I would like to call Mr. Zach Churchill, leader of opposition from Liberal. Please come on stage and address the gathering.
Seriously moving story this is. So I would have been 3 years old when this happened. I'm from Yarmouth. I represent Yarmouth in the provincial legislature. It's about 40 minutes away. And I used to come here to play soccer and watch sports games. And I'll tell you, you guys weren't as nice to us from Yarmouth as you were to these folks from that came over. But it's an incredible story of perseverance, of resiliency, and then of giving back and contributing here. And I think of the Sikh community just here in Nova Scotia that I've got to know over the years. And these are leaders in business, in health, in education, in politics. We've had an incredible involvement from the Sikh community across the country in our political movements as well, from different parties. And I want to thank you for how much you've done for this community, for this province, and for this country. And we all learned a really important lesson too about the people from this area, from Charlesville and Woods Harbor and Barrington overall, is that there's always a healthy disregard for authority. Folks from this area, which I've known really well over the years, they lead with their hearts. And even if somebody in government says it's not right, don't help, don't do this, they're going to do what's right in this area. And they've always done that. And it's an incredible testament to the spirit and integrity of this area, this part of the province. And it's just a wonderful story to have these incredible cultures meet and do so well together. And I think it's become such an important part of Canada's story, because this is what it's about here, making sure people from all areas of the world can come here and live in peace and harmony and support each other. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. I've been so moved by the stories here today, and look forward to having hopefully more of these celebrations in the future. Thank you.
If I may request to leave one.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। My name is Sidhu. I'm from Toronto. What's really brought me here is the notion and the naming of Seva. I've heard about this event for years since it occurred from my uncle, the one who was here. I'll speak about it in just a minute. But since then, I've always heard the echoes of Seva. And those of us who are here have various different examples of Seva that we've partaken in. We've done it in our group clubs, we've done it in our kids, back in the job, in our homes, wherever we form subject, we have participated in Seva. Seva, for those of us that might not know its framing, is based in Sikh principles. It belongs to an art, it doesn't belong to anyone. There's no authorship. Its fundamentals are based in Sikhs in Gursikhi, but it's also important to understand how truly pluriversal Seva is. Especially the fact that it comes from people who are not a religion. We don't see ourselves as a religion. We, from Siddha Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Siddha Guru Gobind Singh Ji, we were never acted out as a religion. The beautiful way in which they penned the Siddha Guru Granth Sahib Ji, it wasn't to arm us as theologians or religious people. It was to inform us as creative beings, people who believe in humanity and who are set on an arc of action towards it. And so when we share principles of Sikhi, whether it's Siddhartha, Seva, these are tools for humanity in which we share. And they allow us to see a commonality in one another. When we form Seva, there's no lordship over one another. We don't see ourselves in a higher and lower sense, whether we're giving or receiving. We are one in that sense. And Seva is what took place here, brilliantly, amongst the people of Charlesville. Seva in that sense is often much bigger than what we even know we are doing. Which is why, as Sikhs, we tend to not want to name things beyond the action to what they are. Because oftentimes it's much bigger than our own understanding. And that's an understanding that I think we can take so many examples from for the people that were here in Charlesville that are here with us today. I'm honored to share this stage with Bhai Randeep Singh Ji, who importantly framed the landscape of those who had to escape Punjab at the time of the genocide, the time of immense persecution, at the time of the propaganda that is still perpetuated today, has not stopped. At the same time, to stay with Bhai Randeep Singh Ji, I want to thank you for the work that you have always done. As Sikhs, you exemplify the most Sikh thing to do is to be of action. One thing that the Sikhs may not do so much is that we're not the best archivists. But you've done that. You've archived those feelings, those moments. People like me get to experience them because you so carefully collected them and you so generously shared them. The one I know is my uncle, Balwant Singh Jal. Again, coming from this ship, I've worked with him for now almost 36 years. You know, I know that makes me appear older than what I am. I'll send you guys my skincare routine. Complex is an act of resilience. And again, I really want to bring that back to the people of Charlesville. In spawning that principle is all they had in a lot of cases. And that principle was met equally with others that shared principle. And I think that's a beautiful example for folks of my generation, the young ones here that are making something of themselves and want to make this a better place, we have the responsibility to apply that principle in every single thing we do. And so I want to thank you for your example.
I want to give a quick background on who I am and how I got to where I got to. So as Uncle mentioned, my dad was on the ship in 1987. So currently, right now, I was born and raised in Toronto. And we moved down to America for a few years. My dad had a lot of business there. We moved back to Toronto because we felt like Canada was a better lifestyle for our family. And now I'm a director of a medical device company after my parents put me into school. And not to float, but I do have 2 master's degrees as well. And all of this is because the people of the farm people like my dad and everyone here at camp. And I've always heard that he came to Canada on a boat, and we used to joke with him like, oh, you're a fog, you're actually fresh off the boat. And we say these things, but it's like, to actually realize the risk that he and everyone took to get here, and to then see this town and the communities that supported them, I feel like this is not only a part of his history, it's also a part of my history. And now being here, it's going to always be a part of our family's history. And I never felt this connection before.
A very interesting journey and a long journey. When this first happened, I like to dig into history and geography and things like that. And people were saying to me, well, have you know something about what happened in Punjab? And I was like, yeah. You go to the bookstore and you tell them you want a book. And you buy the book and read it and educate yourself. And you just didn't get it. Yeah. It's fairly easy to find out what's going on pretty well there in the world today if you want to hear it. So that's what I did. And I think we was to Toronto once, Vancouver once, because when they had the anniversary of the Kumagata, we were in Vancouver that month. And they released the same in memory of people know about the Sikh religion and how long they had been in Canada and all that. And I was invited out for that when they released the stamp. And one thing I can tell you is, don't ever forget that lovely peanut butter sandwich. It goes so far. And last night, we had a couple of the girls who were in the kitchen making peanut butter sandwiches for the fathers. This has got to be kept going. So little things you do in this world can have big ripples as things go along. And 30-something years later, we were never intended that we would be here with all of you guys. And it's been a long but very interesting journey for you, for us as well as you folks. Because if you really want to find out what's going on in the world, you have to open your ears and listen and read and get it. How many have I got? 5? What is it? The boss. No,
I didn't prepare a speech, but I could probably keep you here for about 2 hours. I'll be very quick. It'll only be two or 3 hours. This was my first refugee case. When 174 Sikhs came to the Nova Scotia shore, I had never practiced immigration law before. And I will tell you in all honesty, from the bottom of my heart, it completely changed my life. The lawyer originally hired to do the case was Mr. Mendel Green from Toronto, a very experienced, skilled refugee lawyer, a terrific human being, a great guy. I was reading about this in the newspaper. I was a lawyer at that point for only 6 years. I was very interested in what I was reading, this mysterious landing by these mysterious people coming to a mysterious part of Nova Scotia. And I wanted to know more about it. And I contacted Mr. Green and I said, I want to be a part of this. And he said, no. He said there was no need for another lawyer, which is probably true. But I persisted, and after 2 or 3 tries, he said, well, come down to the hotel and we'll talk. I went to the hotel, we talked. I was part of his team for about 2 or 3 days, and then he came to me and he said, Lee, I have to go back to Toronto. I have a practice there. I have to pursue my practice in my office. The case is yours. So having never had a refugee case in my career at that point, I now had 174 refugee clients. I'm not kidding when I can say to you I could keep you for 2 hours, because so much happened during the approximate 1 month during which 174 very curious human beings came to Nova Scotia. And the province of Nova Scotia had never seen anything like this before. But Canada had seen something like this before. And Canada was a little nervous about something that they were referring to as a refugee invasion in the country. And there were organizations around the world that were helping people get to Canada illegally without the proper visas, and it needed to be stopped. And if you remember correctly, during that summer, there was a special session of the Parliament of Canada to talk about the refugee crisis. It was only 174 people.
It's nice to see the local community here and all the people who have gathered here, and show our appreciation to the local community for what they have done and all the help they've given to the new arrivals way back in 1987. So thank you very much. We all appreciate it very much. Thank you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਦੋਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਲੋਕਲ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਆਫ ਮੈਨਚੈਸਟਰ। So Minister Singh is here, who we also involved here. So just for people who don't understand Punjabi, I was the president of the American Society for the Gurdwara in Halifax, when their ship arrived here. And it was Saturday night, and Sunday morning we got call in our Gurdwara around 9 o'clock that people have arrived and we need some help. So we prepared all the food and try to help them as much as we could with RCMP and all the facilities we had. So we did what we could at that time, added to what you guys did, a lot of work for them, but we added a little bit at Halifax also. Thanks very much, all of you, for doing this thing. We are Nova Scotia, remember that, we help each other very much. I have been here 50 years, since 1971. So we are Americans here. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
in concluding, I'd just like to thank again all of you, and especially our
that I understand a little author as well. So there's no author. If I may request Lee Cohen, please.
वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह मेरा नाम है Satrash Kaur Dassan. I am the granddaughter of Makhan Singh Dassan. I am honored to have this opportunity to speak in front of you. Hearing these stories of what happened makes me feel proud of my grandfather for overcoming all his difficulties to get where he is right now. Going on the boat and hearing the history of what happened was very eye-opening. As the uncle said yesterday, you don't plant a seed for yourself, but you plant a seed for many future generations to come. And that statement really resonated with me. Everyone on the boat went through many hardships for their future children to have a chance at a better life, a chance they never had. Everyone being here right now shows that their hard work paid off. Makhan Dassan, my grandfather, who now employs over 200 people, has given back many times over the generosity he has shown on the day of July 12, 1987. If they can endure 19 days of hardship conditions at sea, confined in a cargo ship, we should use that to feel inspired, feel motivated, to overcome any obstacles that comes our way, no matter what circumstance we are in. If they can do it, we can too.
All right. Good morning. That was a test. Number one, I wanna mention, and I feel amazing being here. You know, when my father first told me we're going to Nova Scotia, I searched it up on Google Maps, and I'm like, there's nothing here. I'm like, we're going in the middle of nowhere. But you know, when I came here, I got to see this the area that they landed in, and I know my dad came to Canada when he was 22 years old. And when I was 22, I can just imagine. I mean, I can't even get out of bed. And now he's on a boat, not knowing where he's going. And what really hit me was when he was sharing his story that when they came to Charlesville, when they landed here, the first question they asked, they stopped a car, the first question they asked was, are we in Canada? You know, that is shocking. You don't even know where you are, right? And another thing is, they saw the closest light, or it was actually the only light, and they started walking towards that place. And really, we're gathered here today to thank the people of this community, because you were the first experience for these immigrants. You were the first experience in Canada. And I know all of them are filled with joy in their hearts. That's why we're all back here with their families as well. But I really want to give a big, big round of applause to all the people of this community.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for making it out today. It warms my heart that there's so many people here today and that the energy is so great. My name is Jasmeet Singh. My dad was one of the 174 Sikhs that arrived on the boat. Kashmir Singh is right there. Dad? I think I speak for all of us when I say this trip has been such a special and amazingly profound trip. It's not just to see first generation here, but second generation as well. Continuing this tradition and having such a great energy towards everybody. It's absolutely astonishing what our fathers went through. You guys all probably are familiar with the story, so I won't go into much detail, but I did just want to say a few words of what this meant for the future generations, for us. Thank you for everyone in the community for all your help and giving us such a warm welcome. From the onset, you greeted our fathers with so much grace and compassion.
which you did not have to do so. This was a choice, and that choice changed the lives of thousands of people. How the community got together and helped their fathers secure their future here in Canada. It is all the best parts of humanity, strangers coming together and helping strangers. This is what Sikhism is all about. And today, as we come back here, 37 years after, these strangers have become family. We went out with the boat with them, and it was like I wasn't speaking to strangers, you know, it just felt like I was speaking to family. And Canada has become a leading example for inclusion and diversity. Our dad's journeys to Canada changed not only their lives, but their children's lives and their children's children's lives. They paved the way for us. They came here and made meaningful experiences with their lives and success. And most importantly, they managed to have happy lives. Due to their sacrifices, the next generation get to live the life that we want to live. We have access to education, and we can do anything with our lives. Due to their sacrifices, our parents worked so hard, and they worked in survival mode so they could give us the best life. And I really mean it when I say this, our parents crawled so we could walk, so our children will run, and our grandchildren will fly. It's changed our life for generations.
And also, I would like to tell everybody, we can have a lot of food here. We have a pizza, we have a Punjabi style food, we have